What's up, Internet? Happy Friday to everybody out there. Time to make a quick video. That'll probably be way too long. Got the dog here. You can't see her. Maybe she'll wander into picture. Got some good news. I got some bad news. So what should we start with first? I think we'll probably start with the bad news so we can get that out of the way really quickly. Probably going to be starting over the fish room, which is the bad news. Now, that is a part of the good news. So don't fret, don't worry. Just basically boils down to everything that we have, other than some of the select things that have survived, pretty much died out. So I'm going to have to really restart all of the plans for everything that's going on in the fish room. The bad news is everything. A lot of things have died. A lot of my plants have died. Things have just been a long string of bad luck, which is all right. You know, that's just life. Good things happen, bad things happen. It's just life. We're gonna just take it on the chin and keep working hard, and we'll be making progress moving forward. Now, from that bit of bad news, let's move on to the second part of the bad news. I'm going to be gone for a week, which means no YouTube videos, no uploads or updates or any of that kind of stuff for a week, which is actually also good news because I'm going to be headed to Kentucky to go have some fun out in Kentucky. So anybody who watches this channel and tracks me at all will know that if you happen to see a guy that looks like this wandering around in Kentucky, it might actually be me. So, to all the Kentucky people out there, maybe throw some comments down below about stuff I should check out while I'm there. I'll be in Lexington and Louisville while I'm there, and the surrounding areas of that. Maybe there's some cool stuff I need to check out. I know that we have some museums on the list and stuff that we're going to go to. We're definitely going to do some hiking, of course, while we're there. I'll see if I can hook up the GoPro and get some footage while we're there. I'm not sure if we will or not. Honestly, when I'm on vacation, I don't have a ton of time to just be like taking pictures and doing all that kind of stuff. Mainly because I'm just kind of just enjoying the time that Vicky and I get to spend together cruising around. So it's good news, bad news. So the bad news things that are happening are redoing the fish room, which, because everything died. So I'm going to have to pretty much start over from scratch. We do have a bunch of plecos and stuff and things like that that have survived. Those of you that have been following the channel know that my hundreds and hundreds of crystal shrimp colony that I was working on for years boiled in a bucket, which admittedly was my fault and bad luck, which realistically falls that it was my screw up. Oh, the dog. It's basically my screw up. I was kind of overworked. The same reason I cut my thumb off. It was bad luck and also kind of my fault. Sort of like just overworked, trying to do too many things all at the same time. And that ended up happening. I don't blame the heater company. I don't really blame anybody for anything like that happening. It just sucks. So I'm going to have to be starting my crystal colony from scratch again. So I'll be looking around to try and figure out exactly what I want to do. I don't have 100% plan on exactly what shrimp colony I'm going to do, but that is what's going to be occupied in this tank. And that's what's going to be happening in the 240 right here that, as you can see, is still dirty and stuff and wobbles around when I push it. So the other third portion of bad luck would be, or bad news, right? Would be that a lot of my stands don't necessarily fit this room 100% with exactly all of the stuff that we're going to do. So bad news for me, which means I got to rebuild some new stands. Now, as I said, all of the bad news is sort of good news. It's not, I mean, it's like bad things happening, but it's leading me in a better direction than I was headed before. Like getting all the stands rebuilt, and all of the sumps and everything that are on the freshwater side are all going to end up being plumbed together into one large system, which is going to limit some of the things that I'm going to be able to do. You know, certain water hardness and that kind of stuff. But most of the range of everything that I want to do is all kind of falls right in that neutral range of pH as far as water goes and that kind of stuff, and water quality issues and all those things. You know, doing crystal shrimp really taught me a lot about maintaining water quality over a long period of time, and that's what's going to end up happening with this whole system. And it will pretty much, it'll limit a little bit of what I'm trying to do, but the overall benefit will be there for all the stuff that that we will be doing in all the fish tanks and stuff. So that's, it's bad news, but it's good news, right? So I guess let's go on to the second portion of the video. All right, second portion of the video after I'm sure an awesome transition that I put in there. The good news portion. Okay. So, after all of this craziness happening, with the bad stuff happening and this and that, and, you know, building out the whole room and getting everything done here, well, not everything's done, but almost everything is done in the fish room. Just a few other small projects to do, including rebuilding those stands. With all that bad luck happening, or bad news, or whatever the hell you want to call it, I've got a whole bunch of good stuff coming up. I reached out to some of the local people that I know, and here's something that, if you've been following me for a long time, something that's really bothered me quite a bit. It's the height of the 180. The 180 is right back there on the floor. The height of the 180 has always been a concern because I like 24-inch tall tanks. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I couldn't really tell you. I just like this width. Or, sorry, not this width, this height of tank. So this width of viewing area, let's call it that, the width of viewing area. I like the depth of a 24-inch tank in the width going back. So I like this 24-24 box is my favorite fish tank shape, okay? So, with all of the tanks broken down and just a couple of holding tanks in our basement right now, I took the opportunity to think about what I was going to do moving forward, right? And I reached out to some of the local people, the local fish tank community, to source some tanks that are going to hit this 24-inch height. Since I'm going to rebuild all the stands, I want to make sure that everything is going to end up being the right height. The 180 is 6-inch difference, so if I built the stand shorter and then built a different hood to cover it and stuff, I could probably make the viewing area match. But to be brutally honest, I don't want to do that. Now, I love the 180. It's a fantastic tank. But if I'm going all the way around this fish room and every single tank is at a different height, it's going to drive me crazy. There'll all be different sizes and all this stuff. And the width is one thing. But if all the heights are different, it starts to drive me crazy. So it's taken me a really long time to explain that I've reached out to the local fish community and I've sourced 3, not new, but new to me, fish tanks that are going to replace the 110 behind me, the 75 over there, and the 180 back there. I'm going to replace the 180 with the 24-inch tall 180. We're going to replace that 110 back there that will be the reef, okay? That 110 back there is going to get replaced with a 150 that is 24 inches tall and obviously a little bit wider, because if it's a 150, it's 5 feet wide, right? So the 180 is 6 feet wide. Every foot is 30, every foot is 30 gallons, so that one's 5 feet wide. And then that 75 over there, that's going to be a planted tank, that's Vicky's planted tank, will be a 120-gallon tank that's 4 feet that will fit right directly on that stand that I built for her for a Christmas present. Now, the good thing about this is that we're going to end up running planted tanks all around this side and this. It's so backwards trying to figure out how to do this in the camera, but freshwater tank, freshwater tank, freshwater tank. Whole L-shaped wall of freshwater tanks all plumbed together, plumbed to the outside holding tank. So we're going to end up with a total volume of around 1,200 gallons of water flow going in and out, in and out, in and out. Doing water changes is going to be the biggest snap. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to, of course, show you guys how to plumb that all together. Long term, I'm going to plumb this whole system together with the koi pond so I can eventually add up with probably somewhere in the range of 8,000 to 9,000 gallons of water moving through, and do probably a 500-gallon water change a week, or maybe even less depending on the rainfall, because the rain is actually going to go into the collection system and push water out the back end. So this is really good news, because this is the kind of big projects that I like to do. All of these tanks in here are going to be in the spot where they're supposed to be. They're going to be plumbed the way that they're supposed to be. They're going to have the substrates that they need to have. I'm going to have the water volume to keep everything really balanced and all that kind of stuff, and just pay attention to working on the tanks, working on my scapes, and just working on what we would rather do, which is the breeding and all that kind of fun stuff that is, and you know, breeding animals and all that kind of stuff, and shrimp and all that kind of stuff, and have the colonies keep going and growing. And that's going to be fantastic. And then on top of that, we're going to end up with a much bigger reef tank than we were before, and a much nicer display that's going to be over on this side over here. So we're going to end up with a much bigger tank over here that's going to be the reef tank. All you reef guys out there, I have all my equipment set up. Basically, all I need right now is the tank, which I will be getting after we get back from Kentucky. So as soon as I get back from Kentucky, source the tanks, move all the stuff, get all these things done, and then it's going to be just boom, 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 boom. Everything's going to fall into line. I'm going to end up rebuilding all the stands. I'll show you guys how to do that. I'm going to be plumbing all the tanks together. I'll certainly show you guys all how to do that. All the sumps will be set up. All the CO2 and this kind of crap. I don't even know if I can lift this thing. I'm at a weird angle down here. Blah! Show you guys how to hook up CO2 into your plant systems. We'll be doing all that stuff. And I have to admit, I'm pretty excited. All the bad news, the good news, they come together and they just end up growing into something else, which is what really, to me, a lot of this stuff is all about. It's what life is all about. And so, to be honest, I'm pretty excited. I've got all this reef equipment. I've got all this planted tank equipment. I've got everything ready to go. When I get back, it's going to be get the tanks, get the stands built, and then get rocking and rolling. I'm going to have to locally source some plants and things like that, but I've also got some tricks up my sleeve for that. I'm going to contact some people that might be able to work out a good deal, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what's going on here on a Friday. I'm already super tired, but we're going to be taking the red eye tonight. Hopefully I can get some sleep on the plane, be off in Kentucky doing all that. And I hope everybody has a fantastic week while we are kind of just dead air. So that's it. Later.